Feeling that sense of child luminosity, that which gathers the attention, touches an object through one of the sense doors, and simply lets it be known. And we begin to see quickly that to the extent that we can simply bring that openness, that receptivity, curiosity, inquiry, equanimity, that of course a few things happen. We know more. Amazingly for me, this is a more open, spacious, and liberated state than any opinion. This simple capacity to be mindful, to know. And it invites us then to know everything, to know the pleasant, the unpleasant, and the neutral, and to greet them all equally. We greet a thought, a sound, a sensation, whatever its contact, whatever the conditioned preference. We see if we can't open completely. And from that non preferential, open attention, what you notice then is that there is a consequence of that. We call that sustained attention. No longer the mind in movement, moving towards or away. It then becomes completely unconditioned, unbiased, non reactive, non preferential. And in that mind, that is the mind of Mother Luminosity. It holds all things, both the viewer and that which is viewed, with a boundless, loving, gentle embrace. Not just the object, but the knower. And see if you can't get that sense of that which knows the thinking mind, that which knows the one emoting, that which knows the one feeling, sensing, hearing, talking, tasting, smelling, and is no longer caught in the preference. Mother Luminosity, open, boundless, vast. Mother luminosity does not in any way suggest that we have to abandon preference, that we can't have our own bias, or it's that Mother luminosity recognizes that simply as bias or preference and holds it too. And see if you don't notice the greater sense of spaciousness, that sense of greater wholeness, or even connectedness when we don't get lost in our thinking mind's preference. But hold it knowingly, gently, recognizing conditioned preference as preference. No problem at all. But there is something then larger present. Mother luminosity. That is this boundless awareness, holding the boundless abodes of loving kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity for all things and all beings. It is our true awakened nature. And then we can invite that very mother luminosity, that very spacious, open, expanding view to the things we have at other times seen with limitation or with conditioning or with our preference. And I'm just going to use my knee, for example, because I called that up earlier. Mother luminosity holds both my knee exactly as it is and my own preferences around the knee exactly as they are, but is not in any way lost in that conditioned view. In fact, I'm smiling as I recollect my preferences around the knee and the timing. Of course, Mother luminosity holding the child with that preference. Offering love, compassion, clear seeing, equanimous mind. There is nothing to change here, nothing to get rid of. Mother luminosity, Buddha nature, our capacity for awakening, both heart and mind, holds it all. If we cannot recognize our habit nature, we cannot attend to it kindly, with friendliness, lovingly, compassionately. Consequently, we cannot attend to it. And you feel the spaciousness of that which you really are. And then for just a moment, let's turn that luminosity towards something in another, um, a quality in another that you've struggled with, or something that felt wrong or insufficient in some way, a misunderstanding, even. And see if Mother Luminosity can't form right relationship with that challenge. Remember, you don't have to change how you are or how you felt. Mother Luminosity recognizes the truth of fear, pain, aggression, even of delusion, just wanting what we want. And see if, as you invite that boundless seeing, boundless open heart to that situation, see if you can't see it in a more useful, more friendly, more usable way. If you can't discover something about that child, the child who wanted what they wanted, the child who felt lonely, fearful, confused. And Mother Luminosity embraces it all, offers refuge or comfort, wisdom. And let's rest in that spaciousness for a few more breaths. Feel its ease, its capacity for holding all things, its sense of boundlessness. May we all be peaceful. May we all have ease. May we all be well. May we all be happy. rest in the unconditioned nature of your own mind. Letting your own breath fill the space. And may this practice be a benefit. So be it. I won't be ringing the bell because it's not here, just gathering your attention in preparation for expanding awareness to include our seeing, feeling into the whole body, seeing what it is. Anything you noticed? Well, we haven't done that particular context. Of course, we're always doing those practices in some way, but we haven't framed them quite like that with mother and child luminosity for a while. Anybody have any particular observations or recognitions during that practice?
Well, when you said, think of something, that would be sort of how you were as a child, I think is how you said it, something like that. And immediately what came to mind for me was, it was interesting how it just popped right in there, was nobody knows who you are. Nobody understands you or cares for you, which was some kind of a feeling that was there, obviously, and I couldn't have explained it at the time, but just sort of opening to that um, was helpful.
Yes. Did you get any felt sense from the opening to it, Greg?
Yeah, the opening this time was really, I was just very aware how accepting I was. There wasn't any contraction
Right.
with it.
Right. Exactly. That's that ever expanding, opening reality of mother luminosity, or we could just call that um, awareness, right? Or pervading awareness. It holds everything, even the parts of us that are scared or feel failed or not cared about. Or, can everybody see how that could be curative? You could, can't you? Yeah, you can feel that. It's like good medicine, isn't it? Like you're just glug, glug, glug. The good medicine of that love, that care, that friendliness, that compassion, that companionship uh,
Mhm.
for oneself. And this is the healing effects of these practices, the healing effects. Because if we don't attend to that, then as we're going to look at now in chapter 20, the Bardo of becoming, we're going to recreate, is what I'll say, over and over and over, that suffering. We're going to recreate it. It is the quality of that conditioned mind to spin the story, to spin the felt sense. And then we buy in. We buy in. Because the minute it drops into the body as loneliness or as, right, we go, there it is. It's true. How do I know it's true? That's how I feel. But you forgot that that feeling came from something conditioned as well. And that was the conditioned mind that went, I never get it my way. Nobody ever waits for me. Why does it always go like this? As if it were true. As if it were true. Doesn't mean that there aren't moments of that. And it also means you have gathered them into an identity. Haven't you? Mm-hmm. You've gathered those into the heap, it's called, of a conditioned experience. Does everybody get what I'm saying here? It's a little bit tricky. Yeah. See if you don't notice the defensive self step in here. This usually is our key, because now we're going, no, they were nasty. I was forgotten. I did get left at the gas station, right? It is not that there aren't aspects of truth in the circumstance. That's not the point, though. The point is, what is your relationship to that? What is your relationship? Did you buy in then to that means I am unworthy of care, attention, right? And then do you happen to see that too often in others and in your life? And the answer is yes, because we have now glued the lens, we could call it, of unworthiness through our own conditioned mind. You get what I'm saying about this? See how that happens? Yeah. And then we, of course, react in a way that does, guess what? And this is what the Bardo of becoming is going to say. You've recreated the whole thing because you did the running, the shutting down, the collapse, the forget about it, the giving up, the whatever you do, the argue, the fight to the death, whatever you're doing, recreating the conditions once again. And then they happen again. And then you go, see, I knew it. There it is. No, there the conditions are. This is true. And the condition of you is also there. Otherwise, it could not be the same. It would be one fresh, stunning, brilliant moment that you could see clearly and then respond to really perfectly, which might be nothing, by the way. Might be absolutely nothing. Might be, I see the nature of that mind. I see the nature of that mind in me. Oh, I see the nature of that mind in you. And then we could really embrace it all, couldn't we? Without the me and the youing, or the this and the thating, and we could do that, right? Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt, but I had to stop meditating because something you said just hit me really. I mean, I know it was kind of basic, but it really, I'm going to put a postie on my mirror. You said something like mindfulness allows us to invite in the pleasant, the unpleasant, and the neutral, and to get all, or to greet them all equally. And yes. I really like that.
That is actually completely correct. Yes, you got that just right, Felicia. And it is an essential truth of our mindfulness practice. We can hold it all, things we like, things we don't like, things that often we might have otherwise even missed, with recognition with a certain openness, with that curiosity, inquiry, cultivating what? Wisdom. Oh, I see now my habit nature with those things. And then also a skillfulness. Oh, I can actually relate to it in this new or different or what we call unconditioned way. Just because the caramel corn's here doesn't mean I have to eat it. Right? And that, can you feel the spaciousness in that? I can eat it or not eat it. I can enjoy it, or I could have a little, or I could serve others, or I could, right, get rid of it if it stuck around for too. Really, there'd be no way to just every time there's that, I have my addictive um, propensities that arise. It's always like this, right? And always like this, and always like this. And that means that's not life stuck. That's that mind, isn't it? The mind is stuck. That's not life. And then, by the way, you go, see how that always keeps happening to me? No, no. See how I keep doing the same thing with that? Yes, that is true, right? You get what I'm saying? We don't do this with blame, though. We've got to be very careful, right? It's so easy then to go, oh, so it's my fault. I'm the one who's made the mess of my life or the world, or really, this is no more helpful. That is just one more propensity for going, okay, so now I'll either blame myself, become the victim, and feel more fatigued, more helpless, more hopeless than I did just the moment before. That's just another quality of mind. Your mindfulness would be useful here as well, going, oh, and then I went into, meh, what's the point? I'm quitting. Right? Because that's not true either. It is neither a fault nor done with consciousness. It is just done out of that child's habit for what we know, survival, for care, just like Greg was saying, just to get care. I better figure out that there is no care, and then I better start caring for myself, right? Until I recognize that that didn't work so well either. Because who is enough for that? I don't know them. I don't know them. We're going to have to open to others in this life too. Other thoughts about this? I'll check chat and then we'll go to the long chapter. 20 ended up being a lengthy one. Vastness is so emptying. Yes, purifying, space creating. It's all true. That awareness, quality of awareness gives us nothing but vast open space in which to hold those boundless qualities of the Brahma Viharas. Inviting alternative perspectives and choices. Yes, it does. We can be more skillful, Dennis. Exactly correct. We would just get more skillful by going. In fact, one of the three, I forgot what they're called, the three forces, the three strengths, I forgot. One of them is do something different, right? Recognize the habit, do something different, pay attention, are the three forces. Isn't that fabulous? Recognize what's happening, do something different, stick around. Sustain attention, see how it goes. You will notice it did not go the same way, and it's guaranteed, right? Even if you don't know its outcome, it says just the difference will be informative, insight creating, wisdom manifesting. How good is that? I don't know how this is going to go. I'm going in the rain anyway. It's my habit not to. I just did that yesterday. Nah, I don't think I'll go. That's my habit. That's going to be too big of a hassle. I don't know. I think I'm going to do it. And I got a lot out of it. Also, I recognize that I have a lot of fear around others driving in the rain. Others. I actually was like, oh my God. I'm actually recognizing distrust and some fear and right? And then, of course, what did I see? People being dopes everywhere because I was looking for the evidence that what I believed was true.
Why are they going so fast?
Yeah, I managed to find all of them, Dennis. By the way, I didn't notice one of those people actually driving skillfully. I know they were there also, but I didn't see them. I just, and by the way, I decided to do something different. Actually, instead of just go, I went, you know what? I'm going to try to see everybody just doing what they're supposed to be doing in these raining conditions. Guess what I saw? About 80% of everybody doing exactly what they needed to do. Now, by the way, it doesn't mean I magically got rid of some of my, oh my gosh, this is a little terrifying out here, because Californians are not known for their skills in this regard. But actually, I did see people also being regarding, slowing down, caring for others. A lot of people didn't go out skillfully, right? There was a lot of right things happening as well. Can I hold them both? Yes. Can't I hold them both? Yes. And isn't that automatically going to make both my heart mind bigger and also bring more compassion, kindness to everything and everyone with that perspective? Yes. And the answer is definitively less. I'm going to call, I have to pull up Kindle here. I apologize. It disappeared on me. We're going to be for chapter 20. If maybe Libby could tell me what page, somebody, if you can find chapter 20 there. 123. She is saying. Let's see if we can't get it. Here it is. This is a longer chapter. I was saying there were a bunch of short ones. It's the several after that are quite short. Here we go. Pop this open. I apologize. How We Live is How We Die by Pema Chodron, of course. If you don't have the book, you can buy it both on Amazon and Kindle version of this. I'm going to go back a few pages. I did highlight quite a bit. We're going to, I'm going to see if I can't move through this a little bit because it is long. Can everyone see Entering the Bardo of Becoming? So you heard me say something that I want to use as our theme, which is every moment is a moment of becoming. Every moment is a moment of becoming. And so what you bring from the previous moment that is habituated, that is trained and practiced, that is habit natured, is going to shape the next moment of becoming. Does that make sense to everybody? If you didn't understand this as aspects of lifetimes, right, you could understand it as aspects of present moment. Every moment, whatever it was that was just before, is ground, isn't it? You get this idea for this next moment, unless I what? Open completely. Now, we see how tricky this is because we proliferate in our moments and then in our day, blah, 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 and we start the day with difficulty or unhappy. We, right, continue to propagate. I'm looking now for the problems and the difficulty. I get to the middle of the day. Now I'm exhausted from the problems and the difficulty. And I go to bed going, life is nothing but problems and difficulty. And I have cultivated that throughout the day with this habit natured view and mind. And so this is what we're going to look at today. How do we propagate in the Bardo of Becoming, and what do the Tibetans say might be good practice for us? So entering the Bardo of Becoming, we will then go unconscious. She says, oops, in the Bardo of Dharmata, which came just before, there was a little more capacity. we had a little more consciousness moments and even cultivating consciousness there. But now we're losing faculty. We are now simply going to reside in our habit nature. And I believe that's important because I think that's going to be the way to attend to them. To go, no, what is it in me facilitating, propagating this? I've been looking at this a lot, as a lot of people know, with dizziness. What am I doing to further this circumstance? And not just the dizziness, but the relationship to it. The I can't do this, it's too hard, I have a bad inner ear, right? That's my hell realm. What am I doing? What if I just greet the momentary dizziness as just a moment? But what I've noticed is it stays just a moment. It doesn't become, now I've got to grab something, now I've got to close my eyes, now I've gone into the identity that I'm just a dizzy person who's going to have to fight against dizzy, right? This just storylines. And I'm just going, oh, just a little moment. If I just stay open, wakeful, attentive, it actually doesn't even turn into anything. This is kind of interesting. When I close my eyes, when I grip against, when I somehow am helping manifest the very thing I didn't want. So it just says, let's see if we can't recognize this. The Tibetans have a cosmology that says the Bardo lasts about 49 days. I don't know how they came up with that. It has been said already in this book, and certainly in the Tibetan book of Living and Dying, that the 49 days can be as fast as a second. So that's interesting to me. Can feel as fast as a second, can be as fast as a second. So, right, I don't think we can get hung up on these kinds of things. I think it's just a cosmology, and I believe that Pema says so as well. I think what you want to know is that there is a time in your own mind when you are simply lost in habit nature. There is no more mindfulness. There is no consciousness. You are simply in spin. I know those moments in me. I'm guessing you've had some too. And that this is as close to the hell realm as we're going to get. And also, by the way, how we're going to propagate distress, discomfort, stress, unhappiness in the next moment. That's the point. And for how long? Well, I guess till we wake up to it, probably that long. This intermediate state, remember that is what the Bardo is, a temporary fleeting intermediate state, is also known as the karmic Bardo of becoming, because we are pulled not only by now our habits, but our karmic influence, let's say throughout all time. Let's say throughout all time. We have generational karma, we have cultural karma, we have collective karma, all of us here in this time, in this world, right? And individual karma. So there isn't just karma from one source, it's karma from all infinite sources. We could call that simply conditioning. Condition. The conditioning comes from all factors, all different kinds of groupings, directions, and constellations. And makes sense, which it says the Tibetan worldview, we are continually creating a future reality through the actions of our body, speech, and mind in the present moment. In the present moment, we are setting the conditions. Someone says setting the table for the very next moment. Yes, we know it to be true. It says here, we can get carried away by our habits, our kleshas, say by lashing out at someone or putting ourselves down. We reinforce both destructive as well as, by the way, productive. We don't want to leave that one-sided. Habits and intensities. Intensify our struggle against life as it is. We tend to operate strictly from our habit nature. Not good news. If we let our harmful tendencies get the better of us, our world tends to become increasingly unfavorable and sometimes even hostile. That's generally from our own hostility, by the way. On the other hand, people who encounter friendliness, who are open, hospitable, are also not only generating that for others, they're generating that for their own minds. As Trungpa said, the future is open. I would say it is undetermined until you arrive. And then that's begins the conditioning. The conditioning itself is called ignorance, by the way, in the Tibetan tradition. It is understood to be the first cycle of becoming. The cycle of becoming begins with this ignorance that of conditioning, of mind, of habit nature, and you are propagating by the very unawareness. You're right in the cycle of samsara, and that begins with ignorance, not with thinking, but with the ignorance itself. According to this tradition, when we enter the Bardo of becoming, we go through experiences with our mental body. The physical body has completely fallen away. We are only left now with the propensities of mind, without the filter of ego as a support. You are just in one big playground spin. There is nobody going, let's stop this ride. It's not even possible now. All the habitual patterns return. We come back to a familiar sense of self. I didn't know this before. I found this interesting. The feeling of I am returns, or I am this returns. We're really moving into that habit nature. And that can also become problematic because I am unworthy, uncared about. We're going to bring that to the next moment of becoming. In the Bardo, your awareness is said to be 7 times clearer than before you died. Good. Nice to have it. If it's there, I don't know how they hit the 7 times, but more than before. We're encouraged to give away possessions before we die. She talks a lot about this in this. It means letting attachments die because your attachments are habits, and those habits are going to be directing you. And so she gives a couple examples, doesn't she, of friends who give things away to people and it doesn't go right and can't give them away and how it becomes burdensome. And I think that probably is true and consequential, by the way, not just at the time of death, but in this life we're living every day. It is said that in the Bardo of becoming, the first thing you do is go back to where you lived, that there's actually kind of a geography in this. You see your family. You see them while you are dead. There are people in near-death experiences who report this very vividly in the hospital room, seeing the person, seeing who's crying, who's angry, and really not yet knowing that you're dead. I suspect there is a consciousness shifting where that could get murky, right? Because consciousness isn't in the body anymore, but you're still going, oops, there they are. They're unhappy, they're crying, you have likely had that same experience near sleep, haven't you? You've been not totally conscious, not totally unconscious. You know something's happening, right? You can even pick up things still. Like I knew there was an argument. I knew there was some distress. I could tell there was, even if you couldn't quite piece it all together, I would say that would be something that would be like that. They say this Bardo is very dim, like that half wake, half sleep. I would say, right? You're there, but not quite. You don't even know what's happening, and you don't maybe know you're dead yet. And I have a suspicion this may be true. Like you don't know you're sleeping yet. This happens for my husband regularly. He'll be snoring, dead snoring, and I'll say, Al, let's go to bed. You're sleeping. He'll go, no, I'm not. As if he were wholly awake that whole time. And then he'll even say to me, I know what just happened on the TV, blah, blah, blah. The guy was snoring. I don't know how this is possible. I'm just going to use that as some evidence that there's something still working, even when it looks like you're dead sleeping. I don't know. Hard to, even when it looks like you're dead. The main advice I give is don't run, slow down, don't make any quick moves, face whatever is scaring you. And this is the advice for a lifetime. If you didn't do anything else this week, if you could turn towards, don't run, slow down, don't make any quick, which means habitual, doesn't it? That's what that means. Face whatever scares you. Don't turn away. Don't turn away. In this Bardo, the atmosphere often feels threatening. You feel a little out of sorts, not quite all tacked in, because the various elements tend to appear as enemies. You don't know what's happening. She talks about the air element being hurricanes, or water element being floods, right? Earth element. And by the way, those elements are dissolving in you. And so I'm going to guess that as they are dissolving, that will feel fairly significant. As you are losing authority over those elements, that is going to feel significant to you and possibly scary. The judge is no one other than your own conscience. In this state, you can clearly see your actions and the motivations behind them, and this is very painful. I think what she means here, the seeing part's a little tricky, isn't it? I think you recognize that you're simply rolling off of habit nature. That's what I think she's saying. That there really isn't the freshness of the moment, the arrival with all faculty. You can feel like I'm just stuck with the habits as they have been. She talks a little bit about Sojong. We're not going to go over that, but it is a review, a life review. I used to think of this kind of like a confession. It isn't, in that there's no one you're confessing to, but you're calling up recognition of both skillful actions and unskillful actions, and they tend to time this with the moon, cycles of the moon, and the full moon. I love the idea. I think that's an actually amazing idea, to really take little moments to review and say, you know, may I forgive myself for the unskillfulness of this one, and may I really propagate the new ones in these ways, and setting, you know, some intentions around them. They say if you can do that, you are more likely to be able to do it after death. They go, wait a minute, I don't want to propagate this. I want to, my last shot, we might call it, and directing both my karma and my becoming. One positive thought could interrupt the momentum of a painful or scary experience and immediately bring you somewhere much more pleasant. We know this solidly from the neuroscience. Rick Hansen's done a lot of research on this, as well as Richie Davidson and those guys out of Wisconsin, where they said, actually just calling to mind some very basic thoughts, I am all right now, is one. I am all right now, as one thought can actually change the trajectory of a whole series of other anxious and distressing thoughts. And they have research on that, right? And so what might those thoughts be for you? I have given several clients 4 thought cycles. I am all right now. I am safe and protected. I am loved, and I can love this moment. As a way of changing the trajectory. What might be your phrases? We, of course, use the phrases of loving kindness, compassion, right? May I be happy. May I be safe. May I be healthy. May I be free from suffering, right? That's the reason for the repetitions, that we can cultivate this quality of heart mind for ourselves. See what else it has. Whether or not we believe that such an intermediate state really exists or not, there is benefit in these teachings in your everyday life, whether you believe in consciousness after death or you don't, or this is not based on beliefs. Any of the teachings are not based on beliefs. They're based on direct experience. Where can you see these truths in your everyday life? Our ability to interrupt the momentum of negative thought patterns can greatly be enhanced through meditation practice, particularly concentration practices and repetition. We know, repeat, repeat, repeat. Small repetitions equal great change. We just know it. And so call those to mind, repeat them often, find your phrases, right? What are they? To prepare for the groundlessness of the Bardo of becoming, the best thing we can do now is to work on dealing with the groundlessness of this life. Every moment new, every moment unknown. What do I choose to bring to that? How am I going to choose to form relationship? We come to terms with the unpredictable, transitory quality of our mind's experiences. We will be less subject to being blown around like a feather or blown up by them. We become deeply familiar with our own mind's qualities and potential, how surprising our mind is, how malleable, how workable. Then we will have more freedom and choices, won't we? Whatever we confront in that Bardo. I'm going up over here to, here at the bottom. She talked about the monks who were prostrating across California. They came across, it was a gang actually in LA. We heard the story often, and they were being threatened, and they forgot their practice. They got so shook up. This is like the Bardo of becoming. They just kind of froze. And then one of the monks remembered what they were practicing and actually just started the prostrations again. And it was actually true. The gang simply created space, let them go on their way. That's a real story. And isn't it true of us? We forget to apply the practice. We forget to apply the medicine. We forget to do the very thing we know is going to be good, right, best in the service of us and in the service of others. And then we can remember, just like that monk did, right in the middle of knees knocking. He went, oh, wait a minute, what are we supposed to be? What's the point of being here? And they remembered and started practice again. This is the beauty of beginner's mind, isn't it? We can remember even in the midst of difficult circumstances. Stop talking about the text. Stop talking about the immediate opportunities for full awakening in this Bardo, but the tradition says that at this point, there's still a wonderful thing that can happen. We can be reborn in a pure realm. A pure realm is a place where you and everyone else have almost no kleshas, and your minds naturally turn toward awakening. Where is that? A moment, it's happening now, a moment of clear seeing, a moment of open-heartedness, right? There you are in that pure land. And then you can know you're there and then do the good work from that place. Bodhisattvas, those who have taken the bodhisattva vow, are going to return. They are committed to that returning until all beings are free from suffering and all are awakened. And so they pick the Pure Land realms. They go, I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back with more wisdom, with more love, with more compassion, but I am returning until all beings. She goes on to talk about the different names they've given those realms. It's just, again, their cosmology. The Mahayana tradition of Buddhism, that is the one that holds both the Zen school and the Tibetan school. We take what's known as the Bodhisattva vow. There it is. Work wholeheartedly on our spiritual path so that we can fully awaken and be of maximum benefit to others. We vow to do this until samsara is completely obliterated, emptied. We take on this seemingly impossible task willingly and certainly in my case, joyfully. This is not something forced on anyone. It's not a you gotta. It doesn't mean you're obligated. In fact, I believe that conditions contribute. Not everyone should or has to proceed down that path. It has to come really out of some completely awakened heart. The point of going to a pure realm is actually to speed up our spiritual journey so that we're in much better shape to benefit others. Nice to know. The way to be reborn in a pure realm is to make any choice in the Bardo of becoming, is to direct our thoughts where we want to go and call it out for support if necessary. She is saying make it as active, enlivened, embodied as you can. If you're in the return, you say, I want to return where there is greatest need. That might be one of my repetitions. I want to return where others I know live because I want to help them. I want to go where X, Y, or Z. It is a mind state more likely than it is, in fact, a place. And we've gotten clear about that in this teaching. It's more a mind state. May I go where I can be of greatest benefit. Let's see what this says. Trungpa says that calling out for support in the Bardo is not a request to an external thing, but rather a method of directing the mind. You are calling up your own mind state. There it is, exactly right. You're saying, may I bring compassion most completely? May I go where compassion will be most available and needed? This is why Buddhists of many traditions make daily aspirations to be reborn in a pure realm. That is a more, again, religious cosmology. I'm talking simply about mind states that we're cultivating in this life and for anything that comes after. It's not only our neurotic propensities that go with us from life to life, it is also our positively constructed and cultivated qualities. Thank goodness for this, right? We will also remain in our mind stream for as long as we keep reinforcing them, the positive qualities. This is of benefit and value to you too. Since we never know when we'll die or what will happen next, it's valuable to cultivate that positive quality regularly, daily, in ordinary time, is what I'd like to call it. Not only when the shit hits the fan, in ordinary time, often throughout the day. May I be of benefit to all beings everywhere without exception. That's one of mine. Hey Ram is actually, in fact, the words that Gandhi said when he was he shot? I think he was shot. And what we understand about that is at that moment, you cannot call that out if you have not been calling that out the majority of the time in your life. It's not available to you. And as Trungpa said, oh shit, may not be the direction you really want to go. May not be. So we've got to pay attention to those habits and propagate the positive ones. Unless we're in a clear state of mind where we can recognize the insubstantial nature of our thoughts, each thought will lead to something else, another becoming, is what they're saying. Each thought ends up being another becoming and another and another, and that becomes the cycle of samsara. Trungpa gently recommends shifting our habitual reactions of shock to something more like wow. That is something that my grandfather ended up saying the last several years of his life about everything. Wow, wow, wow. I didn't, everything. Wow. He was amazed, curious, interested in everything. Pema uses a particular uh, s- um, frequent Sangomani Padme Hung. That is hers. She studies with that every day, does repetitions of that every day. And another one I do know because I've heard her say it personally is ah la la. She does do that one also, which I think is just sweet and cute. Like, who knew? Ah la la. We will realize that countless others are in the same boat as we are, and we will understand how much pain they are going through if we can awaken in the bardo of becoming, recognizing this as a part of everyone's continuous in this human realm nature, becoming every moment. So when you see someone being a dope, that doesn't mean that's all they are. It means they are caught in that moment, in that cycle of habit, propensity, and samsara. And you can feel for them like you can feel for you being caught there. Our felt sense of existing as a separate, special self is at the root of all our torments in life and in death. We frequently believe, don't we, that it is life working against me. And it is, in fact, never true. It is, in fact, you resisting and relating to life as it is, called, right, illness, aging, death, loss, and the capacity to love in the midst of it all, right? The capacity to love in the midst of it all. The more we can let go of our fixation of this illusory me who we keep trying to hang on to, the freer, the more spacious, and the more loving we will become. And there's no doubt about it. And you know it too, don't you? You know it too. There's just no doubt about it. And you also know when you're caught because you can feel that too, right? And it doesn't feel good, does it? We also know the truth of this. And when we realize we're in a dream, that this life was never meant to be permanent, we may have some say about where that dream goes. I wouldn't even use the word taking us, where it goes and how we can navigate it ourselves. I think that's the end of chapter 20. Chapter 21 is just a few pages. We're not going to do it today. We'll do 21 and 22 next time because the 6 realms, again, mind states. Mind states. Don't think of them as places. Think of them as qualities of mind. I'm just going to stop here, see if we have any comments, thoughts, questions. Does everybody get the idea of this particular chapter? Makes sense? Yeah. Who reported about what happens after we die? There's many books written. There's one really famous book about the near-death experience. Anybody know the author of that? It's really lovely. It's a lot of research. It was over 10,000 reports, by the way. We've been studying near-death experiences, Kathy, for many, many years.
Are you talking about the Danish guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
right. Really interesting book. I liked it a lot because I found it not just wooey, which I tend not to enjoy, and really just experiences of people. And
Eric Thompson.
What was his name?
Eric Thompson.
Eric Thompson. Maybe. Does it say right on the cover, Greg? Can you see it? 10,000 has examined more than 10,000 reports.
Consciousness and near-death experiences. Let me see. I have a video of him. I don't actually see the name of the book. Consciousness Beyond Life.
I don't think that's the one, but that may be a more recent one, which may have a lot of the more recent research in it, which I think would be really interesting. Kathy, just know it's out there. really do an inquiry. It's very fascinating stuff and very consistent across cultures, right? Across socioeconomics. It didn't matter if you were this or that. Really very similar reportings and
I'm sending you this thing that I have, which is it's got a video in it.
thank you, Greg. I'll send that out to everybody. That would be terrific.
It's very good, very good.
That would be, it is actually, those, I find those fascinating. It says here, I keep thinking about how we aren't supposed to try to change a moment, but be with the moment. Yes, thank you. And open to the moment. Yes, it's true. If we change our thoughts to an interrupter thought, does that show preference? And then not accepting the moment, but fighting the moment. If we change our thoughts to an interrupter thought, that come back to the breath. I would say replacing a thought with a thought is a little more limiting, but I wouldn't say not useful as a directional to getting you back to the present moment and really working then to get back into the body first, the non-conceptual altogether. Does whoever wrote that get what I'm saying? Right? A thought is a directional, but ultimately we don't want to propagate thought at all, do we? We really want to drop into direct experience as known in a non-conceptual, non-thought, because thoughts are all limited. All thoughts are limited. They're just one captured constellation synaptic habit moment. Doesn't mean they're bad either, but really directionally placed. But where's the real truth of the present moment as wholly known and experienced by mind and body, and not the thinking mind? But we can use the thinking mind to open the door to that mother luminosity.
The moment has already happened.
Sorry, Greg, I'm sorry.
Yeah, the moment has already happened.
Yeah.
Our perception is just of something that's already happened and occurred.
It's a click.
Yeah.
Right, it's a click.
I use that
moment
a lot.
Neutral. Yes, according to the teachings, every moment is simply an arising of conditioned states. We determine that mind, that consciousness, how to form relationship with it, to be most skillful, to be least harming, right? And to then potentially be of benefit. But you have to see what's really happening, or we can't.
It's like opening that gap. So the moments happen, it's such an instantaneous but if we can realize that and open that gap in there and then just wait and then sort of open to it.
Yeah, that's right. Without action first, right? Arriving without direction, arriving without preference, arriving, right? Fully open, mother luminosity. Mother luminosity. I know we are way over. I apologize so much. This is such a big deal chapter, isn't it? Thank you all for being willing to stick around with me for.
I just was going to say that that's where that saying, get out of your head,
Yes,
comes from. Get out of your mind. And we would say, reflect on how your body feels.
that's right.
That's the truth.
Get right back into the body. It cannot lie, and it does not have an opinion. There is no limitation. There is only direct experience. And that direct experience in openness will just tell you more about, well, everything. More about everything, not just you, but everything in and around you. And that's a big lens. That's a big lens. Thank you, everyone, so much. Blessings to you all this beautiful rainy day. May you all be safe and well in it. It looks like right now, at least here, we're having a little break in the water stream. So if you have anything to do, it might be a time to consider it. All right, everyone, be well. Greg will be on Thursday at 7.
Yes.
We will be here in the garden Saturday at 7:30, rain or shine. We have some plastic things we can pull down. in case it's raining, and who knows? I think it's may or may not be, I guess is what I'll say about that. I'm hesitant to make a declaration about that. Who knows how it will go? Thank you so much, everyone. See if we can't use that wisdom today. Good for you. Bring it with you. Love to all.